Hi, welcome everyone to today's webinar for TNI Career Counseling on my college application journey for Masters and MBA aspirants. I'd want to have the TNI Career Counseling team to start the session, and we'll, of course, just go through a couple of things initially. And just a few housekeeping rules. It'd be great if everyone can, keep themselves on mute. And, of course, all the panelists have been given the rights so that they can, talk and have the video on and all of that. And, for the audience, I would request if you can, keep yourself on mute. And if you have any questions, do please put them in the chat. And, we'd be hopeful that towards the end of that, we'll be able to answer questions. And if at any point in time, panelists also have some time, they can always put their answers to some of the questions if they are wanting to take them on that chat as well. So I'd ask Yasir to probably start with talking about TNI Career Counseling, and then Akshay from our team to talk about just introducing us. And then post that, I will take up the agenda quickly and introduce our panelists, and then take it forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhaval. So I'll begin now. Greetings. Welcome to our webinar on my college application journey for MS and MBA aspirants. I'm Yasir Patel. I am the copywriter and content strategist for TNI Career Counseling. So before we take up the main webinar, I would like to introduce what TCC does and what our services we offer to people. So TNI Career Counseling is a certified global admissions advisory venture founded by Dhaval Mehta and two of his co-founders, which you all will know later on in the webinar. Over the years, TCC has serviced 1,000 plus students, and we have a 99.9% satisfaction rate. And we've even helped students in securing 3.1 million scholarships. We also use technology where we digitize the college application experience using AI and ML. The services what TCC really offer is life coaching, mentoring and profile building, college app guidance to students in more than 10 countries and 1,200 plus global universities for undergraduate, masters and MBA and EMBA programs, summer school app guidance for aspirants as well, and test prep coaching, that is your GMAT, GRE, IELTS, TOEFL, and so on. We even offer mentoring and counseling for extracurricular activities. And in addition to this, we assist students and their parents in loans, visa applications, and stuff. We'll move ahead now. So these are some of our students with top scores and admits across the universities abroad. We'll talk something about iGrad. iGrad is our monthly subscription-based magazine, which works as a liaison between the students, the universities, and the educators. As a voice of higher education, iGrad strives to bring invaluable expertise to students by making them aware of the education industry around the globe. So it's basically a one-stop shop for everything pertaining to education. You will have quotes, interviews from important personalities in the education domain. The magazine will also have information about TNI career counseling services much more in depth and in detail. So please do keep an eye on that. Now I'll let Akshay to take us forward. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, hi everyone. Hello. Good to see you here. So basically TNI Career Counseling was initially founded in 2012 by Mr. Dhaval Mehta, Mr. Kevin and Mr. Chirag Bhatt. So Dhaval Mehta has completed his bachelor's from University of Michigan. After that, he has completed his postgrad from Columbia University, and currently is pursuing his EMBA from Cornell University as well. He's a NAC and a PSN certified counselor. Adding to it, he has 17 years of experience in together, and currently he is the president of UMIAA. With that, we have Mr. Kevin sir. He is a alumni of University of Michigan, UC Irvine, and after that he has done his schooling from Marshall School of Business as well. And then we have Mr. Chirag Bhatt, who is an alumni of IIT Chicago, and later on he has studied in Stanford University as well. Now, moving ahead, this is me, Akshay Narayankar. I'm the Assistant Manager in International Advising and Student Services. We have Rahul Hazarika, who is Senior Student Advisor, and then you have met Yasir, who is from the content team. I'll hand over to Mr. Dhaval Mehta. Before that, we are having a quick poll right now. So just fill it out. Thank you. Handing over to you, Dhaval.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone's having a lovely evening. I know in Mumbai it's been a little bit gloomy and probably we're going to have some rainfall. And I know some of our panelists are logging in from different time zones. So please feel free to tell us about your weather and how things are in your part of the world. If you're having a sunny day, sure, please do tell us. I'm just going to go ahead and just give you an idea of the agenda. We're going to go through the introduction for the panelists, talk about setting goals and meeting them. Third, choosing the right college and course. And four, how did our panelists make it happen? And five, talk about their college experience. Of course, the idea through this this webinar is that each one of our panelists would be able to highlight their journey, their experience. Why did they choose a certain program? When was it that they realized that they really want to start looking at higher education? How did they come to that conclusion? And what was their journey like? What did they work on? Was it their test preparation? Whether it was building their profiles? How did they build that roadmap to? And I think that's going to help you all also while you're considering these options. So not waiting anymore. Let's move on to the next slide. Introducing our panelists, Spriha Chandran. She has a Master's of Science in Information Technology from the Kelley School of Business. She's currently an analyst at Cook Myosite. I would ask Priya to, of course, introduce herself more and talk about that. And second is Saloni Seth. She is currently enrolled for an MBA at Rotman School of Management, University of Toronto. She's an associate at White Oak Capital Management. The third panelist is Aditya Mehta. He's currently doing his MBA at Alliance Manchester. He was a senior business analyst at Centio. And we have Prerna Vadikar, who's doing her MBA at St. Business School in Oxford. I would want each one of the panelists to be able to give a little bit of a background on themselves, and maybe that's a great way for us to start. So starting with you, Spriha.
Okay, hey everyone, my name is Priha, as Dhaval mentioned, and I'm currently calling in from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's very sunny and a really good day today, and I almost woke up right now because it's almost 10:30 here. A little about me. So as Dhaval mentioned, I did my MS in Information Systems and I specialized in analytics. Currently, I'm working at a biotech startup, which is Cook Myosite, in their analytics department. I graduated in 2019, and after that, on-campus placement, I joined Cook Myosite. My rationale to do my master's was because I'd done an amazing internship in my fourth year at Deloitte. And at that point, I was very sure that I wanted to pivot from my undergrad studies, that was electronics, into consulting or analytics. So I immediately applied after my internship got over. I started looking at applications and I thought Kelley was the best fit because it would allow me to jump into analytics, and then gave me a 2-year cushion course where I could find jobs and stuff like that. And I think it went really well and I joined Kelley School of Business. And yeah, this was my journey. I would be happy to expand on it more as the meeting goes further. But yeah, back to you, Dhaval.
Thank you so much, Priya. That's lovely to know. I wish I could have some more sun here. So moving on, I'd love to invite Saloni Seth to talk a little bit more.
Hi, Dhaval. Hi, everybody. Just a moment. Yes. I started my journey by working in the financial services industry. I was working with one of the biggest stockbroking companies in India, which is Motilal Oswal. And then I started working with a startup, and I'm currently working with a startup, which is White Oak Capital Management Company. So I started off basically in the advisory department. And since I wanted to move into the investment management team, I progressed by getting into the product team, and now I'm working in the product development team in a startup, which is so I think an MBA at this point in time was required for me to springboard my career from where I am here to where I want to be, which is when I thought of getting into a college at this point in time. And I had applied to a lot of colleges, specifically good for finance, and Rotman was one of them. And with better visa and immigration policies, I chose Rotman. And my college is going to begin this fall. So yeah, currently I'm in India. I'm in Mumbai at this point in time. So yeah, that's about it.
Lovely. Congratulations, Saloni. It's lovely to know that. And I hope you will be able to get, to Canada soon this fall and start classes.
Thank you.
That being said, over to you, Aditya.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dhaval, and it's a pleasure to meet all of you. So my name is Aditya Mehta, and currently I'm in Manchester. It's rare to find sun over here, but today is a pleasant day, and yeah, it's almost 3:40 over here, and I know it's late for you, but I'll try to not bore you a lot with my talks and make it more interesting. So, in terms of my experience prior to the MBA, I was working in analytics. And before that, I'm a graduate from NIT Calicut, and I did my bachelor's in civil engineering. Post that, I worked with ZS Associates, which is a well renowned consulting and healthcare analytics firm. It works with most of the major pharmaceutical giants in the Fortune 500 stream. After that, I moved to Gartner, which was a more internal role, and this was a tech strategy role. And that's when I felt that there are advantages of having an MBA, because I had a small stint with Gartner UK as well. I worked here for around 4 months, and that gave me the idea, that gave me the will to sort of pursue an MBA within UK, as well as apply to some of the universities abroad, as in the US and the other European countries. So I started my application process in 2019, and parallelly I was working with this startup called Centio, which was competing with the likes of Bloomberg. So finally I got an admit for the class of 2020, which started in 2020, although it started virtually, but we got here in December 2020. So yeah, that's about how I got to Manchester, and happy to answer any questions that you might have. And yeah, over to you, Dhaval.
Thank you, Aditya. That's wonderful to know. And, we're looking forward to a lot more information moving forward. Hi, Prerna. Lovely to see you here as well. Love to hear more.
Likewise, Dhaval. It's a pleasure to speak to you and everyone else on this call. Since it's a tradition in UK that you cannot start any conversation without talking about the weather, and I'm glad you brought that up. So the weather is bright, sunny, and if I may show you a glimpse of the oldest tower at Oxford, what you see is a 1,000-year-old tower and the tallest place in Oxford. So I am right now at Oxford doing my MBA at the Said Business School. A little bit about myself is I have what you call as the portfolio career. What that means is I started off as a computer engineer. I did my computer engineering, so that helped with the Norton antivirus company. Then I moved on, worked with multinational in manufacturing, which was in energy management, Schneider Electric. Post that, I worked with a social enterprise, an activist nonprofit, with the government of India, and with a global philanthropic organization. So I have practically worked across all kinds of organizations and sectors there possibly could be in a decade-long career. Academically, I'm a computer engineer, a postgraduate in public policy, and now thankfully and grateful that I've been given the most prestigious scholarship at the University of Oxford by the Wedenfield Hoffman Trust, and doing my MBA here.
So wonderful to hear that, Prerna. And I think one of my questions to you is going to be, what is your goal after? That's going to be a big, getting that scholarship. I'm sure there's a lot already riding on your shoulders. So yeah. So moving to our very important starting point, setting goals and meeting them, right? So I think each one of you all sound extremely successful in everything that you all are doing and have done. And I think that's fascinating for everyone who's here, and they would want to hear, how have you been setting your goals and how have you been meeting them, through this journey, because it's led you somewhere, right? And I'm sure that meeting these goals and setting them is sort of important. So I'd say maybe if you want to get started, and I love the fact that we have so much diversity here. Not just geographically, but there's someone who's graduated, someone who's starting, someone who's still currently in their journey. So I think it's great to see that. And so maybe we can start with putting this across to Saloni, because you're just going to be starting your journey, and maybe you can talk about that. And then I'd love to hear from the others.
So I had when I started working at Motilal Oswal, I had one thing in mind, that I'm going to work for a few months, probably get some experience, and I'm then going to start applying for MBA. Those few months turned into a few years, and then 5 years down the line, right now I applied for an MBA. But I am very grateful for that period, for coming such a long way and then applying for an MBA, because at this point in time, I know that what I am seeking for in an MBA, I have come halfway, and maybe I need to go halfway through my MBA. I really know what are the skills that needs to be honed, or what are the subjects that I'm looking for in a more specific manner, which I didn't know back then. Also,
so maybe one part, Saloni, I think I could bring out is that you also took your CFA 1 and 2. So
yes.
I think so. I think that was a part of something that you planned, that you wanted to sort of do first, or did you just stumble upon and then said, okay, I'm going to take that?
So while I was working there, and since I wanted to be a part of the portfolio management team, getting to know, dealing with a financial analysis and the health of the company's stock market in more detail, I thought of giving my CFA. That's when I gave my level 1 and the second one. But at the same time, I think that with my plans of opening my own business in the future, or in the financial industry, probably dealing with a lot of MD&A, which is a part of the shareholders' reports, I think I needed a more holistic knowledge, which is when I think, along with CFA, I wanted to get my MBA also done from a university which was known for finance also. So this is when I applied for my.
So did you have an action plan? So you said, okay, I'm going to build this sort of a plan, and did you sort of have this 5-year, because that, okay, I think I'm going to sort of go to an MBA, and it's okay, I'm going to reach that level. Maybe did you happen to think about it at the 2nd year, 3rd year, or then the 4th year?
Like I said, I started my journey with MBA in the back of my mind, but that was 6 months down the line. Those 6 months have turned 5 years. But at the same time, I made sure that I was keeping myself updated with all the relevant information regarding the industry that I am, in terms of work or in terms of studies. That's when I gave my CFA level 1 and I gave my CFA level 2. So yeah, that was always in my mind, that at some point in time, probably the timeline didn't match. At that point in time, I was thinking of 6 months, and right now I'm 5 years down the line. But I am very grateful for the time that, like I said, I think the timing is perfect, because now I know what I'm actually looking for in the MBA, what are my electives going to be, how specialized, or what will I actually be looking for in the MBA. So yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Now I'm going to just go to Spriya, because she has actually completed her master's in science. So Spriya, if you want to just tell us a little bit about your action plan.
Okay, so first of all, I want to get started. Like, careers are not like corporate ladders, which are linear, but actually jungle gyms where you keep adjusting and making decisions, like as and when you have to. For me, the biggest decision that I made was I landed an internship with Deloitte, which was pure luck. And at that point, I loved what I did at that point, and that really got me interested in analytics. From that time onwards, I started looking at courses which would make sense for me. So, Kelly School of Business is that unique unicorn where you get an information systems degree, but from a business school. So, I wanted to get into like two major colleges, which was Northwestern and Kelly School of Business, and also UC Berkeley. So, these were my three top colleges. I got into Kelly, so I really did not apply to the others, but that's how my journey was. And of course, when I was doing my master's, I realized, okay, maybe consulting is not something that I enjoy more. In fact, my internship at Cook was a better experience, and I decided to take up that internship. So, as in terms of like goal setting, I think you have to be very cognizant of the timelines, because let's say Kelly had a timeline of 1st of November, which is very early in comparison to the other schools. So, I would say like my goal was to finish off my GRE by September at max, and then have my application, like start building my applications in like September and October. I did have some external help with like a career counseling. I didn't know of TNI, so I missed that opportunity. But I would suggest like going to a career counseling, because they kind of keep you on task and get you and help you do that goal setting. Okay, back to you, Dhaval.
Thanks, Priya, and you've been a lovely mentor also on board with us. So I think that we've always seen that you've been very helpful. So I would want to now take this question to Aditya and Prerna. Aditya, maybe you can take that first.
So yeah, I think just to reflect on my learnings and how I went about this. The first thing that anyone who's willing to pursue a higher education, this is obviously a big decision in everyone's life. The first thing that you need to understand is what is your goal down the line. For example, for me, when I was working in analytics, I could see that either it's doing a data science course, which is a highly technical degree, which I was doing, and eventually I would learn more. The other one was to take the learnings that I have had from analytics and translate it into business decisions. The second one fascinated me a bit. And that's how I decided that I would want to go for an MBA and not for a full fledged master's course. But that is a personal choice, and that is something that you need to think about. Talk to people, talk to as many people from the industry as you can. It's there are certain cases, and a lot of my colleagues who've been fascinated with a particular industry, and when they start working into it, they feel that okay, this is not for us. So essentially, you've just wasted that time. Then once you've decided that this is the course that I'm going to be in, choose a list of schools. And obviously, I think a career counselor really helps within that. What it does is it sort of streamlines your decisions, creates a list for you that is on the basis of your profile, your academics, your GMAT or GRE scores. That would really help. Make sure that you have you dedicate enough time in your day, because for me, I was working left, right, center. I was working 11 to 12 hours a day, so I needed to be focused. I needed to give at least 1 hour of my day to study for my GMAT, study for my application process. So that is again a key. And then I think it's very important to make sure that you apply as early as possible in the process. So through that, what you do is you get a higher chance of getting into a scholarship as well. So this was essentially the action plan for me. But I think the most important part is choosing the course for you, and that is on the basis of your personal long-term and short-term goals.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think that was very insightful. as well. Prerna?
Yeah, in my case, for me, the opportunity cost of 2-year versus 1-year MBA was the primary determinant. But the way I went about looking for my course was I first gave a GRE because it was a score that would determine which colleges I fit in and what I want to do next. And I was not too interested in cracking a 750 plus or in GRE context, 330 plus. I got a very good score. I was lucky. And then I started looking for 1-year MBAs. It was very obviously Europe and not USA for me. Within Europe, I narrowed down on UK specifically because Oxford is not just an MBA, it's a university. And I was very sure that at this stage in my life, in my career, I was not looking to just learn academically, but also grow my understanding and my learning. And there is a saying they say about Oxford that it's like drinking water from a hose pipe. And that's exactly what the experience has been. You connect with people from different, you connect with music fellows, you connect with people doing majors in history, and you connect with nuclear scientists all over your dinner table. And that was the experience I was looking for. So it was Oxford for me. I was lucky to apply only to Oxford and get into it with full scholarship as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So moving on, and I'm going to ask you more of this. So this is just kind of laying the groundwork, right? So I think everything that you all said, essentially one is knowing, what you want, list all schools, programs that interest you, understand your financial funding, status, place and location you want to go, because I think Prerna mentioned that, UK was important to her and, maybe not looking at anything else. I know that today it's also important when you look at what are the opportunities, and if you see broadly, between the US, UK, and Canada, there are opportunities across the board, especially when you're considering a master's or an MBA. And so it's again what is most important to you, right? And that's what the panelists are sort of telling you what is important to them and why did they look at these countries for themselves and the universities, and then reaching out to alumni and current students. And I know a lot of that is really, and I'm sure each one of you all as panelists have also spoken to a whole lot of the other alumni from those schools to get engage more information from them also, and then follow your passion. So even though we say this to guide yourself, I think that it's always definitely great to have others sort of, read your essays, read what you're doing. I'm sure that we all have done that, right? In many ways, and I think it's important. So I would say maybe highlighting, and maybe I'll ask some of you all to sort of highlight your experience as we move along. So maybe the next slide will sort of help us a little bit, outlining this. So when we look at this application process, and what I want from each one of you all is to probably highlight how important, all these steps, or maybe one or two steps have been for each one of you. And so maybe here I'll start with Prerna.
Sure. I think for me, like I said, I gave the GRE and then I chose which colleges will accept me with my GRE score. So that was first thing. But for me, more important was number 5, choosing and securing recommendation. In my opinion, that made all the difference about my acceptance in the course as well as my scholarship. I shortlisted about 20 people in different areas of work who had worked with me, who I had worked for. Within that, choosing the right ones, reaching out to them and making sure that they communicate consistently the same leadership traits that I wanted them to highlight was critical. And I spent maximum time on this and the application essays.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Aditya?
Yep, I think almost all the steps that you've laid down, they're very important, but I would like to highlight the importance of networking over here, because if you are looking to get into a higher education abroad, and again for your careers, for your jobs, you need to start talking to people. And that is something which I felt that Indians, as Indians, not being racist over here, but as Indians, we don't have that inherently to speak to anyone. So start from here, start talking to the alumni, start talking to the people who are currently in those business schools or in those universities, and name drop them in your interviews, name drop them in your essays. Try to understand the culture that you would see when you what culture you expect when you come to that college. That is very important. Highlighting a little about the recommendations, my strategy in terms of recommendations was that I would get a recommendation from someone who's work very closely with me, because what happens is in that case it's not a very generic recommendation, and it's specific to what you've done and what you've achieved, and they have looked at your growth from a close quarter. That certainly stands out in your application process. So that's the take from me on that.
Lovely. Thank you. Saloni?
So for me, I would suggest that when somebody is taking their GRE or GMAT, and if they're working, like I started preparing in the month of May and June to be able to probably give my GMAT in the month of October, November. And in any case, if you want to retake your GMAT, it'll be an a proper time for you to even give a second attempt. So that probably by October last week in November, you're done with your retake also. And I would always suggest people to apply to their tier 1 schools in the first round. And if they don't get through, probably go to the tier 2 schools in the second round, which happens in the month of Jan. So by November, December, they can apply to the tier 1 schools. And probably then if that doesn't happen, then they can go to their tier 2 schools in the next few months, and then the tier 3. So for me, I think application writing was a very important part of the entire process, and I gave in a lot of time dissecting my goals and laying them down in the correct format, my short-term goals, my long-term goals. So it was very important for me to lay down my thoughts, so which took some while for me in the proper format. And also when it comes to I think when you're writing the application, it's very important for you to read about the college, what are their values, or who are their professors, what's their alumni about, what are their missions, and what are they expecting out of us. And then accordingly, you can write um, your essays. And post that, I think for me, recommendations, I wanted it to be somebody who has seen me grow. So I made sure that one of them was from my organization, and one of them was from the social end where I was working. So I'm actually currently working with an NGO also. So I got one of them from the social sector and one of them from the finance sector, which I belong to. So I made sure that I get 2 recommendations from different fields, so that they can talk about the varied qualities or different perspectives for the same application. So I made sure that happened. So since this was the MBA, there are a lot of video interviews, and then there are, following the actual in-person interviews, for now virtual interviews that are happening. But so the video interviews also, you need to be prepared with all sort of questions as to why do you want to do an MBA, why in this school, what are your goals. So I think you need to be prepared for both the interviews in an equal manner. Both of them are right on the spot, and they will test you in every manner. So you need to be very well prepared with the college that you're applying to and with your application. So yeah.
Totally. Thank you so much. I think that's again very insightful. Spriya, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think everyone covered almost pretty much everything. But I wanted to highlight admission interviews. So I think most B schools expect you to go through an admission interview. I was kind of an oddball because, like, in my master's program, which was I had to go through an admission interview, and we had like a not case competition, like a case study first. The first interview and the second interview was like a personal interview. I cannot emphasize that you should start preparing for it as early as possible. I started preparing for it as soon as I got on my application. You may think, okay, I am going to prepare once I get the interview call, but they schedule it like 3 days out, and then there is absolutely no time for you to prepare. So I cannot emphasize on how important it is to prepare for admission interviews from the time you start your application. And yeah, back to you, Dhaval. I don't think I have anything else to
No,
add.
I think that's great. And maybe I just want to just try to get Prerna's perspective on scholarship. So were you, I mean, when you applied to it, how confident were you that you would possibly make it? Or you were going to get it, or were you shocked? Were you surprised? What were all some of the things that went into for that scholarship?
I was confident that I will get a scholarship, but not this one. This is the most prestigious one at Oxford, and I was not even aiming for it, to be honest. But given my background and my experience, I was more aiming for a social sector specific scholarship that Oxford gives out.
Great, thank you. So just moving to the next slide, guys, I think you all have done a fantastic job at highlighting a lot of things. And I think that this is going to be very, very useful to, the audience. I know we have a couple of questions, so feel free to answer if any one of you all want to on the chat.
I just want to add one more about
Yeah,
scholarship.
please.
Rotman gave me, they gave me an initial scholarship. So I tried giving them. So if you want to probably tell them to increase the scholarship, you can do that by sending them something that you've done recently, probably like a promotion at workplace. So I send them my offer letters from different universities. So that's when they upped my, or they increased my scholarship. So just saying that in any case, if you've gotten some scholarship and if you want them to reconsider your scholarship, you can send them probably something that you've recently done at work, or something where you've excelled in terms of offer letters or in terms of something else. So I think this can also help.
No, I think this was again very helpful. Thanks for mentioning this, Saloni. So now I think maybe it's time for us to give everyone this time to talk about their experience, right? So I know, Saloni, maybe for you it's probably going to be something that you're going to start with. So the other three is where I would say they can talk about, and maybe Aditya, you can start and talk about how's your experience been so far. And feel free to highlight all of these things, right? Life on campus, faculty, internships, or anything else, even activities and clubs. I know we've got a couple of slides that kind of, iron out these things. So maybe what I would also request is, the team to sort of go onto the slide when you start talking about clubs, because I think they've made one which has some of the clubs at Manchester.
Sure. So, I think the first phase, because COVID had hit UK quite badly, so we had online lectures then. But I think they were managed pretty well because these universities, they've been in the game for quite a while, and the professors are really, really experienced. They know how to, make those sessions more and more interactive. For example, something like a simple poll, that's what we had over there. We had people presenting their own ideas, which is inside the class. So we have something called as the Manchester Matters, in which there is an opportunity for someone to take a lecture within that. Yeah, okay, this is the Manchester slide, so I'll just touch upon a few things. But yeah, in terms of Manchester Matters, so what happens is they give you an opportunity to teach the class something that you know of, or some topic that is very close to your heart. So you can take that in 1 week and see how the class responds, and that's a different experience altogether. In terms of the entrepreneurship scene, it's a thriving city. Manchester has always been a city which is very, very pro business and very pro new ideas. So there's something called as the Masood Enterprise Center, which has competitions ranging from venture capital. It has competitions ranging from pharma. It has competitions ranging in tech. So it's a great experience. And I personally am a part of the student council, which hosts a lot of events, and I've been closely related to careers. So I'd want to touch upon that. I think in terms of the internships and the full-time roles, that is very important when you come to a university abroad. And the first thing, as I mentioned again, is networking. There is a very, very strong network within Manchester, where you can just have a casual coffee chat with probably anyone. Our postgraduate careers team is one of the strongest in the UK. We've achieved a 78% internship within the first 3 months of the uh, uh, term, and that was something that is not seen in the UK till now. So that is one advantage of Manchester, which is basically they don't have a 12-month course. They have an option of extending this to 18 months, within which you can do an internship and then probably convert that to full time. So that is there. And I think in terms of clubs, we have clubs ranging from finance, consulting, technology, media, and we have energy and industry club, and there's a retail and pharma club. So I think these are some of the things that keep you engaged. But overall, I feel that someone who's coming into an MBA or broadly the business courses, they need to understand that they have to juggle a lot. You have to juggle in terms of your academics, in terms of your careers. You have to be a part of the networking events. Now that we've moved to a virtual world, it's relatively easy not to travel for those networking events, although it had its own perks and fun. But that's been my experience, and I think pretty much positive till now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And anything you'd like to add about, how the 2 year, right, which has been sort of a change, right, where earlier where you could probably stay back for a lesser amount of time, now you actually get 2 years to stay back. How is that seen, affecting students now that, you'll actually see things with COVID getting better in UK, feeling that the vaccination levels are sort of increasing, and how do you think that's going to play out for this year, maybe the next, according to you?
Yeah, definitely. I think because I've been a part of the careers team in the student council, and I'm the VP of careers for my class, it has been a positive sentiment in terms of the employers. I feel that again in the past, when I think this policy was dropped off by the last government, I think it was 2012, if I'm not wrong. That's when the 2 year post study work visa, or the graduate route scheme, that was taken off in the policy. It was very difficult because you just had 4 months after your degree to find an employer and to convert your student visa to a tier 2 visa. Now what happens is that once you graduate, you have the time to really look for jobs, look for roles within the UK, which is a positive. And there's no capping on how much you're earning. Previously it was 36,000 pounds that you had to earn minimum to get onto a tier 2 visa, but now that capping has been removed. So even if you are not able to find a job by the end of your course, you still have enough time to look for an employment on a post-study work visa. And I think that is a benefit for the employers as well. For example, if I'm a small startup, it's very difficult for me to convince the government to sponsor an employee on a tier 2 visa. But now that's not the case, because you'll have the PSW for anyone who's graduating from the UK. So that creates an ease from both an employee's and the employer's perspective.
Thanks. I think that's great to hear, Aditya. Spriya, would you like to go next, talking about the US?
Yeah, of course. So one of the biggest things that I loved about Kelly was that it was a college town, and living in a college town and experiencing that is a very different experience, I feel. And IU is huge, so it's almost like it has almost 40,000 students. It's a big public university, and hence we have like multiple clubs. I actually just checked. We have almost like 750 clubs in IU, which you can get affiliated with. And we also have some departmental clubs, as you've already mentioned here. You have Business and Analytics Club. We have Women in Tech. We have like MSISA, which is the club for my master's program. And I think I think these networking events are so important. So I attended one of the information sessions for Cook, and I got an interview call just based on my little interaction that I had with the hiring manager there. So as Aditya mentioned, networking is extremely important. I know that's not part of like the Indian culture, and it's very, very important in the US. At least I don't know about the UK, but in the US, you have to kind of learn how to do small talk and go to these events. So this is been my experience at Kelly and at IU.
Thank you. Prerna, would you like to highlight more aspects?
Yeah, sure. I think with Oxford, it's similar to what Priya spoke about, Kelly. We have university-wide student clubs, we have departmental clubs and initiatives, and we have MBA student-led initiatives. And combined, there are like at least in hundreds, if not thousands. Yes, the things that you've highlighted are very relevant, but I think the uh, most vibrant community here is focused on entrepreneurship, including the MBA course itself, which gives a 2-credit course on entrepreneurship and connects us with real VC, real advisors, real mentors with whom you can take your enterprise idea to the next stage. And within the university itself, there are 3 main enterprise junction. One is the Oxford Entrepreneur Network, second is the Oxford Foundry, and third is the Student Club on Entrepreneurship, which together makes a very strong case for an entrepreneurial ecosystem. One more thing I would like to highlight is the Oxford Seed Fund, which is run by MBA students, but invests in real companies. And the companies, the only criteria is it has to be either founded by a student or an alumni from Oxford, irrespective of the course you're doing. And another great thing about Oxford, like I was mentioning earlier, is as a company, you need subject matter experts, technical experts, management experts. And this is a place where you can find a combination of all of that. So you can talk with a nuclear scientist, you can talk with a historian, you can talk with a designer, and you yourself have a huge business network where you can bring in a real team together to make an enterprise happen. And that's something that I found very unique to Oxford. Besides that, there is also emphasis on labs that the college runs, like the department, the business school runs. One of them is the finance lab, second is the impact lab. And these are very hands-on practical sessions, which you can subscribe to, and you get shortlisted based on certain selection criteria.
Brilliant. So, Prerna, that begs the question, what next?
For me, the reason I even came to Oxford for an MBA was to work in Africa. And I realized that when I was working with the government of Ethiopia, that my master's in public policy from IIM Bangalore is great and fantastic for India, but abroad, no one really knows what IIM Bangalore is. I have to tell them what it is. And that's what brought me to Oxford. So I am looking forward to working in Africa. Or if not Africa, then I am very eager to work in India. The reason being that opportunities for growth and opportunities for expansion are in the developing countries, not so much in the developed countries.
And we weren't able to cover this question yesterday. So I'm so happy you actually mentioned it, because I'm going to put you in touch with someone who actually worked a lot in Africa. But he's a UPenn graduate. His name is Venkatesh Saha. I'll put you in touch with him. He actually worked with the London government when they were doing a whole lot of work in Africa by itself. So I think, of course, you would have a wider network at Oxford, but I think you'd find him to be very passionate while he's talking about Africa. But lovely to hear that.
Dhaval. Yeah, that will be fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Lovely to hear that. Thank you. So I think we've covered a whole lot. I know we are just 5 minutes above time. I would, at this point in time, probably like to sort of conclude this and sort of talk about the thoughts that we've got through this webinar, which has been extremely informational for everyone in terms of understanding how to sort of set your goals, how to build an action plan, what are the important parts that you need to look at for the admission process. And all of this has come really from each one of the panelists and their insights into how they worked through to get where they are today. I'm really thankful that each one of them, namely Prerna, Aditya, Saloni, and Spriha, have really spent time this evening with us to highlight their journey. And I think it's been a lot of fun, hearing all of them. And I think I just want to make sure that if you all want to reach out to them, we'll probably have their LinkedIn profiles so that you can reach out to them and talk to them more about their journey and the way ahead. I know we were able to take some Q&As, but if you have any other questions, I'd suggest that you'll also fill up the feedback form. And if you have any questions, we'll take them there as well. So thank you. Yeah.
I'm just sorry. Regarding, I couldn't just avoid seeing the TOEFL questions that they've been asking.
Please. Go ahead.
While applying for my course, I also applied for TOEFL waiver from these universities, stating that my schooling and my work has always been in English, and English is sort of an official language also in India. So I wrote them a convincing email, and that's how I got TOEFL waiver from the universities that I was applying to. So I didn't have to give my TOEFL or IELTS. So
I think that's a point, Saloni, and you're right that if you've actually gone through that entire schooling process, and I think from what I understand also, it's great to write that email, because whether you're in UK, US, wherever it is, they do look at that, they evaluate, especially in a situation like this. Also, because of COVID, a lot of the IELTS exams have just not happened, across the last 2 months also. So in many cases like this, waivers have been given, or maybe the university has their own exam as well. That could be an English exam that they would probably give to the students. But I think this is a very valid point, Saloni, that you bring. So thank you for mentioning that.
Sure.
Great. So I think this ends our session. I would really thank each one of our panelists who've been here. I think it's been an incredibly insightful session. Thank you for sharing your journey, and thank you for and good luck to you all. And we'd love to be in touch and have you for more sessions like this, more insightful sessions like this.
Thanks so much, Dhaval, for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dhaval.
Thank you so much. Great session. Yeah.
Thank you, Rahul, as well, for coordinating. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks to the whole TNI Career Counselling team. I think it's been really great having them work with all the students.
Thank you.
And just and all the best to everyone who's here in terms of students. I know it's a tough time when you're applying for applications, but yeah, we're here to help you, and we'll try the maximum that we can.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again. Really a pleasure. And thank
Have a
you
nice
all, the audience, to be so patient and understanding, and please keep in touch.
Okay.